Hey folks, I'm Jess Birkin with Birkin Law Office. I'm a lawyer, solo practice in Minneapolis, Minnesota. You may have seen me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is on this slide. I am at Jess Birkin. Feel free to join me on the internet. And today we're going to talk about why I switched my whole practice to be subscription services and maybe how you can too. So, yep, that's me. That's what I look like. That's my website. I used to work in-house at a big nonprofit organization, and I left that organization for private practice working with private nonprofit clients. I'm sort of like outsourced general business counsel for nonprofits. Now, in 2016, when I left and I hung my own shingle, I was overjoyed, right? I love working for myself. I love having my own firm. I have great clients and I'm good at my work, but eventually I started to look like this Lego guy. Something was just really dissatisfying about my practice, and I really didn't know what was wrong. The problem for me was not running the business. I love that part, and actually I'm pretty good at that part. I love tech. I love creating efficiencies, and I'm really not afraid to try new things, make mistakes, invest a little money in software and figure out it doesn't work. Like, I am totally good with all of the parts that a lot of lawyers are kind of like, ugh, this isn't what I went to law school for. And I love the nonprofit sector, and I feel really great about my work with charities, right? But I was starting to feel overwhelmed and annoyed and just stressed out by my clients and their problems. And that's because every day kind of looked like this. They were just driving me nuts. I had so many fires to put out all the time. People would come to me with their emergencies that they should have gotten help for a long time ago. Basically, I was just drinking out of the fire hose. I was in firefighter mode all the time. And for me, I didn't find that satisfying. I knew that that was contributing to my sense of just chronic stress and overwhelm all the time. I wanted my clients to be capable and strong nonprofits and not just come to me when things are a dumpster fire. So I decided that I needed to change some things for me in my practice. And I also had a suspicion that customer satisfaction was a problem for my clients as well. Now, we're in Minnesota, where I live, and I don't know if you know anything about the Midwest, but Minnesota in particular, we're very indirect people. We don't like to just come right out and say what we're thinking like some of our eastern U.S. folks, right? We're very indirect. We don't say what we mean. And that phrase Minnesota nice just really means passive aggressive. So I knew that if my clients were upset, they probably weren't telling me about it, but there were telltale signs that clients were unhappy. Like, my clients would try and, limit the scope of what we were going to do, or they might rarely call while I was working for them. Clients were trying to do their own legal work by helping because they think that, it's going to save them money in the long run, which you and I both know that doesn't work that way. Then I would have clients who would, sort of disappear for 6 months or more only to show back up with some big problem that could have been minimized if they had just asked me earlier. And I knew that this was because they didn't want to pay for the 10-minute phone call. They didn't want that clock to start running. And so they were trying to avoid working with me whenever possible. But there was one exception. I had one client where they just were so happy. And this isn't to say that all my clients were unhappy. Of course not. I just knew from the behaviors that people would rather not pay for the lawyer's services, right? But I had this one client that I took pro bono when I first opened my firm. They wanted me to be on their board, and I said, no thanks. What they really needed was a lawyer. So I said, I'll be your lawyer for free, and just use me how you need me, because that's probably what I would have done on the board anyway. And they were always happy. They included me on everything they did, any decision that needed to be made that had any sort of legal angle. They would include me on it early to make sure they were doing the right thing. They got advice early and often. And in the 5 years that I've represented that client, they've never had a legal issue that turned into a dumpster fire. So that really got me thinking, that, oh, that is a unique situation right there. And then my light bulb moment was that I offered to take one of my best clients for coffee. I just hadn't seen her in a while, and I thought it would be good to catch up with her as the executive director of the organization. She asked me, when I invited her to coffee, she asked me if I was going to charge her for the meeting. And I was like, oh, geez, okay, that's not good. That's when it really hit me that the basic problem with my practice was the billing structure. My clients really didn't feel good about the work because they felt nickel and dimed all the time for every minute of time that I was talking to them. And they were, right? We bill in 6-minute increments. So that's why I had to triage a lot of emergencies and always be on the clock and answering, they don't want me to bill them for the time. They don't want me to pay attention to the clock. They don't want that. And that's fine. But it meant that they avoided me, and it ended up costing them more in the long run, which just perpetuated the cycle, right? So I started thinking, how can I get clients to talk to me earlier and more often, help them avoid the big expensive problems, and control their costs, but I still make money, right? Because I'm not a charity. My clients are charities, but I am not a charity. So I follow all kinds of business guru types. I love Ramit Sethi. I love Gary Vee. I'm a huge fan of Seth Godin. And I listen to all kinds of podcasts and go to all the tech conferences and the forward-thinking lawyer conference type events. So I've already got this sort of this is what the business world is doing. Subscription model is where we're going. And so I thought, how can I make subscriptions work for my firm and my practice? So I started looking around the internet, and I found the handful of other attorneys that are doing subscription or talking about subscription, or the businesses that offer legal subscription services. I looked at John Tobin's Creators Legal Program. I looked at Kim Bennett's program. I was getting to know Erin Levine right as she was forming Hello Divorce. I was looking at LegalZoom and reading blog articles from people like Alan at 1-400, and really started to figure out how can I create this thing for me. So first I had to think about, what do my clients want, right? So that's the first thing. I really had to get my empathy hat on, and I sat down and thought about, what do my clients need and want? Now, everybody likes to think that their practice is magical and different, but most clients really all have the same things in common. Most clients want to know how much it's going to cost to work with you, right? They wanted to feel like they get something of value, that they're not wasting their money, and they want to be able to quit if they don't want to keep going, right? We can't take that away from them. They have the right to stop having us represent them. They wanted access to legal services when they need them. And so maybe that's at 2:00 in the morning, or maybe that's at 5 a.m. when I am still sleeping. And they also want to feel safe and secure in the choice that they've made. So that was kind of my list of my client wants. And then I had to think about, what do I want, right? For me, as the lawyer and the business owner, I want to not go broke, okay? We've all been burned by some flat fee piece of work that just got totally out of hand and you just completely lost money on it, and I was not interested in doing that. I also wanted to provide value that just didn't include time tickets, right? I wanted it to be scalable. I wanted it to be evergreen. I didn't want to trade only time for money. I didn't want to just do it the old way. I wanted to get paid for the things that I usually don't charge for, but are super valuable. Like when I give away the free 5 minutes of advice, or I hand somebody a beautiful form that I've created that they can use again and again. And I'm not going to charge them for the 30-second email when I send it to them. I'm just giving them my intellectual property because they're my client and that's the right thing to do. So I'd like to get paid for that somehow. And then I really wanted to create something new and not just repackage the same old, right? I wanted to make sure that this was something new and different, because I think that it's a common mistake that we just sort of like call it subscription, and it's just regular lawyering, and that's not really a subscription. I wanted it to really feel like something different. And then I wanted to, frankly, have more fun and enjoy my work more. So, long story short, I created my program. It's called Mission Guardian, and it's a legal subscription service for nonprofits, right? So they get to basically add me to their team, and I give them all kinds of advice, and there's goodies and like different levels, and we don't really have time to get into all of that. I have a much longer talk that I do that goes into like, how did I build it, and what tech stack do I use, and like, how did I do all of this? This isn't that talk. This is just about the idea of things, and I'm not hiding anything though, so you can certainly go to the website and check it out. You can see my sales page, you can see what I charge, you can see what all the benefits are, and you can learn all about my stuff. But what's important is what you're going to create, because while we need to be looking at all of the other folks out there who are doing things, we also need to create something that works for our practice. Now, my practice is very transactional, and I'm sort of like general counsel. So what I'm doing makes sense for me, but it probably does not make sense for a lot of other people. The business lawyers amongst us kind of have it easy because business is, you touch a lot of areas of law in business, and so that lends itself to creating portals and programs where I'm going to review all your business issues, right? So Creators Legal with John Tobin does that. Kim Bennett's program does that. But it is possible to create subscription legal services for litigation type practices. If you take a look at Hello Divorce, right? They're for family law. They have a whole company that is a subscription-based DIY solution where you can upgrade to have full representation. There's no reason you couldn't do something like that for your practice. There's also a great episode of the Lawyerist podcast where Sam is talking to an attorney who, it's not quite a subscription, but they have like every 4 months you pay like a certain amount for a 4-month block of representation. Now, I wouldn't call that necessarily a subscription. It's more like a way to structure your payments, but you get the idea that the billable hour is not the only way to structure your business model, right? You could get into, I can totally see how a real estate attorney would have a very great subscription opportunity. If you read some of the stuff from Alan at 1-400, in his articles, he used to be at LegalZoom, and he said that once they started offering subscription legal services at LegalZoom, those services accounted for 24% of LegalZoom's revenue in only 1 year after launching the service. So it's really something to consider, and I want you to think about it. So how do you think about it, right? I want you to think first about, what do your clients want? Not necessarily what you think they want, not necessarily what you think they need, because we always know better than our clients, right? And frankly, we do a lot of the times, but we also don't listen to what they want or what they value. So again, I think they want to know how much something costs. There is literally almost nothing in the world left that you can buy that you don't know what it costs when you go into the deal, other than legal. We need to change that, because consumers want to know how much something costs. They also want to feel like it's valuable, and you need to think about what is unique to your clients, right? You should ask them, and that's a scary proposition, but you should ask them. What do they like about working with you, and what is valuable? What can you repeat again and again that your clients have found the most valuable? How can you maximize that? What can you give them also that's not your billable hour? Can you give them educational materials? Think through what you actually do for your clients. Like if you're a divorce attorney, you are also like basically their therapist or their coach, and you are coaching them through their divorce. Well, how can you create that content so you stop billing for your time and get it out of your head and into a format that they can consume it and pay you? And maybe they still pay you for the white glove, level treatment. But how can you get that out of your head and create a valuable resource that they can look at 2 a.m. when they're freaking out and can't sleep, right? What do you do that you coach your clients through that has nothing to do with the law? Maybe it's being objective about buying a house. Maybe it is, how to find the right provider in other areas. Maybe it's tapping into your referral network. Whatever that is, what can you do for your clients that they want that's not necessarily even legal, right? Okay, then I want you to think about what makes your job more fun. Who are your ideal clients? Who do you love working with and why are they great? Go take your top 5 favorite clients and figure out who those people are. What is it that they all have in common? Because there are things that they have in common. And I screen my clients when they're coming in, and I do not let people into my firm or my subscription program unless they score at a certain level, because I don't want to hate working with people. And I don't want the pain in the ass clients. There's plenty of work to go around. I'm not going to starve to death. Even in my weird little niche practice area, there's more work than we can all do. So create something that attracts your ideal clients and not the crappy clients that you don't like to work with. And I really want you to think that part through before you run off and create something. Okay, then how do you avoid going broke? Very important, right? It sounds funny, but like seriously though, the thing that you are most scared of and that I was most scared of when I started is losing money on flat fees or maybe being stuck with people that you don't like working with. So make sure that doesn't happen to you. For me, it's all about defining the scope, exactly what is in the subscription and what is not in the subscription, and maintaining those boundaries. And then when I do a project, the way my thing works is you pay a base fee and then there's project costs, making sure my flat fee projects are scoped out appropriately. It's okay, like sometimes I make mistakes and I eat shit. We can bleep that out. I lose a lot of money on a project, but those are learning opportunities. Now I know, I need to fix the scope on that thing. And then beta test it. Don't make a big announcement and go public with your new offering. Just try it with new clients as they come in and see how it works. For my subscription program, I started offering it as a choice between the old way and the new way in my engagement letter, and I did that for a full year. And after 12 months, literally nobody ever picked hourly billing ever again when they hired me. So I stopped doing it this past December. You can do things like that. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, but you do need to be committed to the thing, or of course it won't work. And that means that you have to get comfortable with new systems and use them, right? You don't have to make everything yourself. There are totally companies out there like 1-400 and his team, Alan's team are great. Gravity Payments, Dan Lear and those guys are working at Gravity Payments to make subscription billing options and recurring billing options easier for law firms. You can buy off-the-shelf tools that will help you have the tech stack. You don't have to build it all yourself like I did, right? So you can't do everything the old way. The old way maximizes you billing time and sucking up people's money that way. The old way is you are inefficient and that's how you make money. And this requires you to get comfortable with doing things in a way that promotes efficiency for this program. Even if you offer the old way, you still need to make the new program efficient or you will lose money. And maybe that means adopting online scheduling to manage client expectations about your availability, or it might be outsourcing work to lawyers through law clerks so you can contain your costs, right? It might be having a website or a secure portal for clients to log into or communicating with them in a slightly different way than the old way. But those are things that you need to think through and plan for. And you're going to make stuff and then you're going to break stuff, okay? So don't get caught up in the I have to have the end all be all perfect, crystallized solution. You're going to make it and then you're going to figure out where it's not working, and you're going to iterate and you're going to improve and you're going to refine, and that's okay. That's part of the process, and I know it's scary, but I also know that you can do it, because if I can do it, you can do it. Okay, so that's my spiel. If you want to connect with me and go deeper, hear more from me, I have a great email list. You can join at hackyourpractice.lawyer. You can find me on Twitter at Jess Birkin. Thank you so much for your time and your attention, and I look forward to emailing with you soon.